Hey everyone, welcome to Anime Dreams. This is the place where we take familiar stories and ask the questions that change everything. Today's fanfic explores a powerful twist on the Naruto universe. What if Naruko was loved by the Kyūbi? Instead of fear, hatred, and isolation, imagine a bond formed through understanding. How would that single shift reshape Naruko's childhood, her strength, and the fate of the shinobi world itself? Before we begin, a quick disclaimer: the content on this channel is created purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that said, let's begin. Naruko paused on the tree branch, her bright eyes narrowing with focus as she took in the unfamiliar ninja standing nearby. "Who are you?" she asked firmly, her voice steady but curious. "Naruko," Sakura called out with clear relief, smiling wide now that she saw her teammate was safe. "And Naruko?" Sasuke added quietly, turning toward her. He looked surprised, and maybe a little shaken. Whatever had happened earlier had clearly left him uneasy. Naruko noticed right away. Sasuke was usually calm, so seeing him tense told her this situation mattered. She stepped past him without hesitation, placing herself slightly in front of her team. She stood tall, even though her heart was beating fast. Courage, she had learned, did not mean feeling fearless. It meant choosing to act anyway. The grass nin stood on a distant branch, calm and unreadable. There was something unusual about her presence, not frightening, but intense, like a riddle that had not yet been solved. Naruko studied her carefully. This was no ordinary student. She could tell right away. Still, Naruko did not feel the urge to rush forward. Instead, she thought. Planning had become one of her growing strengths. She leaned back just enough to whisper, "Sasuke, I have an idea." Sasuke blinked. "Now?" "Yes," Naruko said quietly. "And it only works if we trust each other." From her spot nearby, Sakura watched them with a mix of worry and hope. She wanted to help, but she also knew that sometimes support meant believing in your teammates even when you did not know the plan. She took a deep breath and stayed ready. Sasuke frowned, then shook his head slightly. "You are serious, aren't you?" Naruko smiled softly. "Always." She glanced back once, meeting Sakura's eyes. Sakura saw confidence there, warm and reassuring, and it helped her relax just a little. "Go," Naruko said gently but firmly. "I will catch up." Sasuke hesitated, then nodded. He moved quickly to Sakura's side, guiding her safely away through the trees. Sakura looked back once, then trusted Naruko enough to keep going. When they were gone, the forest grew quieter. The grass nin tilted her head. "You stayed behind." Naruko nodded. Someone had to make sure everyone got out safely. She raised her hands, not in a challenge, but in readiness. "I am not here to cause trouble. I just wanted time." The grass nin studied her for a long moment, then smiled in a thoughtful way. "Time can be very powerful." Naruko grinned. "I know. That is why I use it well." With a quick movement, Naruko created several harmless shadow copies that darted through the trees, scattering leaves and laughter as they went. The forest filled with motion and confusion, but no one was hurt, and nothing was broken. By the time the forest settled again, Naruko was already gone, rejoining her team with a proud smile and a heart full of relief. She had not won with strength alone. She had won with care, courage, and trust. And that, she knew, was the kind of ninja she wanted to become. Orochimaru first thought it was amusing that the young ninja believed she could stand in his way. The idea seemed so bold that it almost felt like a joke. But as he watched more closely, his amusement softened into something closer to surprise. Naruko was not pretending. She understood that he was far more experienced, and yet she stood firm anyway. What caught his attention was not strength, but heart. Naruko was ready to put herself between danger and her teammates without hesitation. Her loyalty shone brighter than any technique, and her determination was steady and sincere. Orochimaru tilted his head thoughtfully. This child was unusual, not because of power alone, but because she believed so deeply in protecting others. He decided to observe her skills rather than dismiss her outright. Naruko dashed forward with confidence, her movements quick and focused. Orochimaru calmly stepped back and lightly placed his feet against the trunk of a tall tree, using careful chakra control to balance himself. He remained relaxed, curious to see what she would do next. Then he heard words he did not expect from a young Jinan. "Tajuu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." In a series of soft puffs, many shadow clones appeared around Naruko. They were not aggressive. Instead, they moved with purpose, forming paths, signals, and distractions meant to guide attention rather than cause harm. Each clone mirrored Naruko's determination, standing tall and ready. Naruko smiled, not with anger, but with resolve. She and her clones moved together, using teamwork and creativity rather than force. Their goal was simple: buy time. From a distance, Sakura gasped and grabbed Sasuke's sleeve. "Sasuke, wait. What about Naruko?" she cried. "We can't just leave her." Sasuke clenched his fists, torn. "She chose this," he said firmly, though his voice wavered. "And she made me promise." Sakura's eyes filled with worry as they remembered what had happened moments earlier. Flashback. "I've got a plan," Naruko said, turning to face Sasuke. Her usual playful grin was gone, replaced by calm determination. "Take Sakura and get to safety," she continued. "I'll stay here and keep his attention." Sasuke shook his head immediately. "No. We go together." Naruko stepped closer and spoke quietly but clearly. "You promised you'd protect Sakura. I need you to keep that promise." Sasuke hesitated. He had never seen Naruko so serious, so focused. She wasn't being reckless. She was being brave. "I've been practicing a new technique," Naruko added. "It's not perfect yet, but it should give you enough time. Once you're out of this area, keep going." Sasuke swallowed. "What technique?" Naruko smiled softly over her shoulder. "You'll see." End flashback. Back in the present, Orochimaru watched the scene unfold with growing interest. Naruko's clones worked together smoothly, guiding the situation without harm. He realized then that her strength did not come from overpowering others, but from inspiring trust and courage. And for the first time, he wondered what kind of ninja she might become if that spirit continued to grow. A new path for Naruko. Sasuke could still see Naruko's lips moving as she quietly focused on a technique. His eyes widened, and he whispered sharply, "Are you serious right now?" Not only had Naruko mastered the shadow clone technique, but she was calmly using it in ways that even experienced students struggled with. She was still a Genin, yet her progress felt unbelievable. Sasuke clenched his fists, unsure why her sudden growth bothered him so much, but it did. Sakura, however, was overwhelmed by a different feeling. She didn't care that retreating had been labeled the smart choice. Naruko was their teammate. Leaving without trying to help felt wrong. As Sasuke guided Sakura away through the trees, she remembered the look Naruko had given her moments before, gentle, determined, and quietly reassuring. Naruko had mouthed, "See you soon." Sakura hoped with all her heart that it was true. Back in the clearing, Naruko knelt on the ground, breathing hard but steady. She had created dozens of shadow clones, using teamwork and clever timing rather than force. Each clone helped her learn, adapt, and protect herself without causing harm. Across from her stood a strange shinobi with a calm, curious gaze. He watched her carefully, clearly impressed. To him, Naruko was not reckless. She was resourceful. She rose to her feet, brushing leaves from her jacket. Her arms trembled from effort, but her eyes were bright with resolve. She formed a hand sign. Shadow clone technique. Several clones appeared beside her, smiling with the same confidence she felt inside. Together, they moved, not to attack, but to shield, distract, and guide. The forest echoed with swift steps and soft laughter as the clones worked together like a well-practiced team. The mysterious shinobi observed quietly. He had seen many students before, but few showed this kind of heart. Naruko wasn't driven by pride or anger. She was driven by care. A voice echoed gently around her. "Why do you stay in your village?" Naruko paused. "Because it's my home." "Even when it hasn't always been kind to you?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. Because I believe it can become better." "What about the people there?" "I have friends," she said softly. The voice pressed on, testing her resolve. "And if they leave you behind?" Naruko clenched her fists, then relaxed them. "Then I'll grow strong enough so no one has to leave anyone behind ever again." There was a long silence. The presence around her faded, not defeated, but thoughtful. Naruko exhaled slowly. Her clones vanished in small puffs of smoke, leaving her alone in the quiet forest. She placed a hand over her heart, feeling it beat steadily. "I'm still learning," she whispered to herself. "But I won't give up." Naruko stood tall and turned back toward the path leading home, ready to keep growing, not just as a shinobi, but as a person who believed in kindness, teamwork, and hope. I don't know or care where you are, you snake freak. But it doesn't matter. A few months ago, I stumbled upon the Scroll of Secrets, which contained many unusual and mysterious jutsus. I thought that if I learned one, I could finally become a Genin. So, I sneaked the scroll to a quiet, hidden grove I once discovered and practiced the first technique, the cage bunshine. Naruko's eyes sparkled with determination. She grinned wider, her hands glowing with vibrant chakra energy. After mastering the first technique, I was about to put the scroll away when it accidentally flipped open to reveal the second technique. I didn't have the full instructions, but I came up with my own twist. This technique. I call it Bunshine Sparkle Burst. Naruko clasped her hands to her chest, sending cheerful, sparkling energy outward, and my variation, which I'm about to show you, is called Daihiga Sparkle Blast. Instead of causing harm, the blast erupted in a dazzling display of shimmering lights, bursting into a spectacular fountain of harmless fireworks that danced in the air and painted the forest in bright, sparkling colors. The trees were untouched, and little puffs of glitter floated down like snow. What was that? Sakura whispered, shielding her eyes from the sparkling display. She had been worried about Naruko's daring move. I'm not sure, Sasuke replied, peering curiously at the glittery aftermath. Please Naruko, be safe, Sakura thought, hoping her friend's spark of adventure didn't get her into trouble. Naruko blinked, feeling a little dizzy but otherwise fine. What just happened? She wondered, looking at her glowing hands. She wasn't hurt at all. The forest around her looked magical now, with sparkling embers floating where the explosion had been. Something pale and slithery caught her eye. Curious, she walked over and discovered a shed snake-like skin left behind by a mischievous grass nin, charred only with harmless sparkling residue from her own technique. Very impressive, a voice called softly. Naruko spun around, her eyes wide as she saw a mysterious figure floating gracefully toward her. This Orochimaru looked unusual, not scary, just mystical. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, and her long hair flowed like a gentle river. Her outfit had soft earthy tones, with a rope belt tied neatly in a knot, giving her a calm and mysterious aura. How am I? Okay? Naruko asked, still catching her breath. Lucky for you, Orochimaru said with a gentle smile, I used my harmony jutsu to protect you when your sparkle blast went off. You're safe, and the forest is safe too. Then how are you? Still floating there? Naruko asked, amazed. I can move lightly and rejuvenate my energy naturally, Orochimaru replied, twirling gracefully. It helps me stay balanced and calm. Naruko's eyes widened in awe. A jutsu like that exists? There's much to learn in the world, Orochimaru said kindly, lowering herself to Naruko's level. You have a special spark, Naruko. With patience and creativity, you could do amazing things. One day, you might teach others too. Naruko's eyes lit up. I'll never join someone who wants to hurt others, but I will keep learning. There's so much I want to try. Orochimaru chuckled softly, impressed by her spirit. That's the kind of heart that changes the world. Later, Naruko stumbled toward a clear river nearby. She leaned down and sipped the cool water, feeling refreshed. Her shoulder had a tiny mark, a sign of the sparkle blast she had just perfected, but it didn't hurt, just a reminder of how far she had come. I just need a little rest. And then I'll practice even harder, Naruko thought, laying down on the soft grass and watching the sparkling embers drift into the sky like gentle fireflies. Meanwhile, Sakura and Sasuke arrived at the Tower of Learning in the forest. Though they were tired and worried, they knew Naruko's spark of determination was unstoppable. Finally here, Sasuke muttered quietly. Yeah, Sakura said softly, wiping her tears but feeling hope once again. Shall we head inside? Yakashi Kabuto asked, appearing beside them with a gentle smile. Yeah. They replied in unison, feeling ready for the next adventure. Kabuto didn't want to hang around the gloomy room any longer, so he walked out with his companions. He had already helped them get an Earth and Heaven scroll, what more could he do? Kabuto was about to open the scrolls when he noticed his snake master leaning against the wall. Orochimaru-sama. The information regarding Uchiha Sasuke has decreased. He seemed very down for some reason, and I haven't really observed his skills much. Also, I didn't detect the curse seal on him, Orochimaru-sama? Orochimaru wasn't paying attention, his mind wandering elsewhere. Forget about the Uchiha, he said casually. What? Why? Kabuto asked, surprised. After all the trouble dealing with the Uchiha, why would his master suddenly change his focus? What of the Kyūbi girl? Orochimaru asked, finally turning his attention to the question he actually cared about. He wanted Kabuto to give him information about Naruko, not like before when he had dismissed her as talentless. She wasn't with her group for some reason. I think that's why the other two seemed down. But what could you possibly want from her? Kabuto asked, confused. Orochimaru let out a long sigh. Nothing at all, Kabuto. Nothing whatsoever. Meanwhile, Naruko was having what could only be called a lucky moment. She had just woken up from a short nap, realizing that the second part of the Chunin exams was about to end. A group of Mist Genon was nearby, holding both a heaven and an earth scroll, perfect for her plan. The group, in their rush, tripped over one of Naruko's clever self-springing traps, giving her the perfect opportunity to quietly move forward. Using her quick thinking, she carefully collected the scrolls and continued toward the exam's final destination. Sasuke and Sakura had just entered an empty room, thinking they had reached the end of the second exam. On the wall, a scroll was hanging. Sakura approached it cautiously, frowning. I don't understand. Something about heaven and earth. Parts of it seem missing. We probably need both scrolls, Sasuke said, matter-of-factly, though he wasn't exactly sure either. Oh, Sakura said softly, her curiosity piqued. When they unraveled the two scrolls, a puff of smoke appeared, and to their surprise, their old academy teacher Umino Iruka emerged with a bright smile. Congratulations, you three. You've passed the second exam. Sakura and Sasuke were stunned. 3? Sakura whispered, her eyes widening. Where was Naruko? Where's Naruko? Iruka asked gently, his brow furrowed. Sakura hesitated, her hands fidgeting. She went ahead to help others. She wanted to make sure everyone could finish safely, she said softly. Iruka's eyes softened. That sounded just like Naruko, brave, determined, and kind-hearted. Sasuke stepped closer to Sakura and gently took her hand. Naruko believed in us, and now it's up to us to keep going. Let's not waste her trust. Let's become stronger, together. Sakura nodded, a newfound determination lighting up her face. Right. Meanwhile, Kabuto was still trying to figure out why Orochimaru hadn't given Sasuke the curse seal and why Naruko had caught his master's attention instead. At first, he thought it might be because of her Kyūbi connection, but something about her determination, clever thinking, and kind heart seemed far more valuable. Back at the exam arena, a sudden commotion drew everyone's attention. Let go of me. I've got the scrolls, so let's go. A cheerful voice called. It was Naruko, dragging a group of exhausted Chunin along with her, laughing as she managed to keep everyone moving. Sakura's eyes widened. Naruko? She's okay. Sasuke's jaw dropped. She's alive. She's been helping everyone all along. The Sandaime Hokage cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. Mind explaining what's going on? Naruko grinned brightly, holding up the scrolls. I just wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to finish. No one gets left behind. The room erupted in cheers, and even Sasuke and Sakura couldn't help but laugh. For Naruko, it wasn't about glory or recognition, it was about helping her friends and proving that true strength comes from heart, teamwork, and determination. All 5 Chunin who had been pressed close around Naruko lined up straight, each bowing politely. We're sorry, Hokage-sama, but this ninja entered without meeting the requirements you set for participation, said the Chunin standing in the middle. What are you talking about? I have the 2 scrolls right here, Naruko exclaimed, holding the scrolls up proudly, her cheeks puffing out a little in frustration. Naruko. A familiar voice called from across the room. Turning, she saw a blur of pink and black hair moving toward her. It was Sakura and Sasuke, her teammates. She smiled tiredly and waved. I'm so glad you're okay. Then something unexpected happened. Sakura ran forward and hugged Naruko tightly. The rest of the rookie 9 stared in surprise. Naruko felt something warm and unexpected on her cheeks. When Sakura pulled back, Naruko realized that her friend was crying tears of joy. She had been so worried Naruko might have been in danger. Naruko felt a hand gently pat her shoulder. Turning, she saw Sasuke smiling softly. I'm glad you're okay, he said. Naruko's heart swelled, her team was whole again. From his seat above, the 3rd Hokage watched the reunion quietly. He had suspected something was amiss, and now he noticed Naruko occasionally touching her left shoulder, wincing slightly. His mind raced. Could Orochimaru have placed a seal on her? He remembered Anko's warning, she holds something of great importance. He wanted to intervene immediately, but he had to think of Naruko's well-being. She needed space, guidance, and care, not suspicion. Taking a deep breath, he dismissed the 5 Chonin who were still standing stiffly in their positions. A Jounin wearing his headband slightly askew appeared before the Jinan. Clearing his throat, he spoke. "Should we begin the preliminaries now, Hokage-sama?" he asked politely. The Hokage nodded. "Yes, Hayate." Excuse me." Yamanaka Ino raised her hand. Looking at his clipboard, Hayate replied, "Yes." "Yamanaka Ino? What are these preliminaries?" she asked. "You see, this is the first time we've had so many competitors. We need to narrow the numbers before the next stage of the exam," Hayate explained. "Oh, okay." Ino nodded, understanding. "Now that's settled, please direct your attention to the monitor behind me," Hayate said, turning. A hidden wall panel slid open to reveal a large screen. "These matches will be one-on-one and will begin immediately. If anyone does not wish to compete, now is the time to step aside." A murmur ran through the room, but no one stepped back. Everyone had worked so hard to get this far. The monitor whirred, names flying across the screen, until 2 appeared side by side. Yakashi Kabuto vs Uzumaki Naruko. "Oh no. I have to go first?" Naruko thought nervously, taking a deep breath. She felt a flutter of nerves but also excitement. Kabuto looked at her and thought, "I couldn't have asked for a better opponent." Naruko's determination alone was inspiring. "Please move to the center of the arena, the rest of you go to the platforms," Hayate instructed, clearing the space. Naruko noticed Kakashi walking behind her slowly, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I'm glad you're okay," he whispered quietly. "Thanks," Naruko replied softly, watching him step back. Hayate raised his voice. "Do either of you have anything to say?" No answer came, only focused determination on both their faces. With a deep breath, Hayate called out. "Begin." Naruko, the spirited ninja girl. Naruko is a cheerful, determined young ninja from the Hidden Leaf Village. She has bright orange hair tied in a high ponytail, sparkling blue eyes, and an infectious grin. Full of energy and curiosity, she dreams of becoming the village's greatest protector, not through violence, but through clever thinking, teamwork, and boundless enthusiasm. Her training focuses on her incredible cloning abilities, speed, and resourcefulness. Naruko's techniques. Taijutsu, hand-to-hand skills Bunshine Tayatari, clone ramming A rank. Naruko's favorite trick is to surprise opponents with a clever dash. She first creates several shadow clones using her special jutsu. These clones line up and charge toward the target. As they bump gently into the target or distract them, Naruko uses the momentum to leap gracefully over or behind them. While soaring through the air, she can create another clone mid-jump to continue her clever maneuver. This move is like a puzzle in motion, showing off her speed and clever thinking rather than force. Ninjutsu, magical ninja skills Kage Bunshine no Jutsu, shadow clone technique, B rank. Naruko can make real, solid clones of herself. Each clone has its own energy and can help her practice, learn, or explore at the same time she does. For example, if she wants to memorize a new technique, she can send her clones to practice while she studies. When they vanish, all the knowledge they gained comes back to her, making learning faster and more fun. Tajuwu Kage Bunshine no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone technique, A rank. For super big missions, Naruko can make hundreds of clones at once. Each clone is like a mini Naruko, helping her tackle huge tasks, solve puzzles, or train for weeks in just a few hours. She loves using this to help her friends prepare for competitions or assist villagers with chores. Tsuchi Bunshine, Earth Clone, B rank. Naruko learned a fun variation of her clones using earth magic. Instead of regular shadow clones, she can make earthy versions of herself from rocks and soil. These clones can move and help her like real clones, but they cannot pass knowledge back, so they are perfect for teamwork challenges or playful games in nature. Bunshine Bakua, Shadow Clone Explosion, A rank. Instead of being dangerous, Naruko's version of this technique is a dazzling burst of light and color. She creates a clone that bursts into a sparkling cloud, stunning her friends in surprise for fun competitions or tag games. The explosion is bright and safe, like fireworks, and makes everyone laugh. Daijiga Bakua, Great Self-Explosion, S rank. Naruko can focus all her energy to create a brilliant flash of light and warmth. It's used only in emergencies to signal for help, light up dark areas, or amaze her friends during practice. It doesn't harm anyone, it's all about energy control and focus. Fusoku Furi no Jutsu, Harmony Technique, A rank. Naruko can gently counteract chaotic energy around her. If someone's jutsu is misfiring or causing confusion, she can touch them and balance the energy, creating harmony. This is perfect for helping friends calm down or making training safer. Shunshine no Jutsu, Body Flicker Technique, D rank. Naruko can move so quickly that she looks like she disappears and reappears instantly. She uses this to play pranks, explore the forest, or zip around during missions. It's her playful speed technique. Dash. Naruko's personality and values. Optimistic, Naruko never gives up, even when things are tricky. Creative, she loves coming up with new ways to use her clones for fun and learning. Kind-hearted, she uses her skills to help, never to hurt. Team-oriented, she believes teamwork makes everyone stronger. Her journey is about growing as a clever, compassionate ninja, learning new skills, and helping her village while having fun and making friends. Her story teaches that courage, cleverness, and kindness are more powerful than strength. A gentle meeting within. A small silhouette moved quietly through a wide, echoing hallway that felt more like a dream than a real place. Soft light reflected off smooth stone walls, and the air felt calm rather than frightening. This was a place made of thoughts, memories, and feelings. The figure stopped at a crossing where three paths met. One path glowed softly, another shimmered faintly, and the third glowed with a warm red light that felt powerful but not dangerous. Curious as always, Naruko chose the glowing red path. She walked forward until she reached a great gate made of light, tall and strong, yet peaceful. Behind it rested a vast presence, ancient and wise. This was the nine-tailed fox, a legendary being of immense energy and long memory. Its eyes opened slowly, glowing like embers in a quiet hearth. The fox studied the young girl carefully, surprised but calm. "You have come here on your own," the fox said, its voice deep but gentle. "That has never happened before." Naruko placed her hands behind her head and smiled, standing confidently. "Well, I guess that's because this is my mind," she said cheerfully. "And I'm dreaming." The fox considered this. The glowing floor beneath them shimmered, showing Naruko asleep in her small apartment, curled comfortably under a blanket. Moonlight shone through the window, and a photograph nearby showed her smiling alongside her teammates and teacher, proud and happy. Everything was exactly as it should be. The fox let out a thoughtful breath. "You are correct," it said. "So tell me, Naruko. Why did you come?" Naruko tilted her head. "I wanted to meet you properly," she said. "Everyone says you're just power or trouble, but I don't think that's true." The fox was silent. Naruko continued, her voice kind and steady. "I think you've been alone for a very long time." The ancient being's eyes widened slightly, then softened. "I existed long before humans learned how to use chakra," the fox said. "I watched the world grow and change. I saw forests rise and rivers form. I met others like me, each different, each learning in their own way." "That sounds lonely," Naruko said. The fox paused. No one had ever said that before. "I believed I did not need companionship," the fox replied slowly. "But perhaps understanding is something worth learning." Naruko smiled wider. "Well, I'm really good at learning," she said. "And I'm not going anywhere." The light around them warmed, not brighter, but gentler. The gate remained, but it no longer felt like a barrier. It felt like a promise. And for the first time in a very long while, the ancient fox wondered what it might be like to walk forward together. "Still, I feel sorry for all the loneliness you must have felt," Naruko said gently, turning to leave the Kyūbi's cozy lair after learning about the fox's history. "Next time we talk, maybe I'll tell you a little about myself. Please, like I want to know anything about your silly little life." The Kyūbi teased, watching her walk toward the corridor. "And I don't need any pity from a girl like you." Naruko paused at that, her bright smile unwavering. "Fine," she said, tilting her head. "But can I tell you something real quick?" The Kyūbi huffed, curious despite itself. "Fine." "When I look at you," Naruko began, "I see a dark room filled with unlit candles. For the longest time, no one came to light them. But each time we talk, it's like I'm lighting one of those candles. Soon, the whole room will glow with warmth and light. And when that happens, Kyūbi, I'll be standing right there smiling with you." She continued walking through the small passage, leaving a stunned Kyūbi behind. When did she become so thoughtful? The fox wondered, marveling at Naruko's words. Soon, the fox found itself smiling, a strange, happy feeling it hadn't felt in ages. Later, Naruko faced another challenge. She had used almost all her energy helping her friends climb the tall academy steps and was completely exhausted. Her shoulder throbbed with the weight of the magical seal she carried, a swirling mark shaped like 3 tiny comma-like symbols. Yet, despite feeling weak, she knew she had to try. She blinked, taking a deep breath as her eyes caught sight of her opponent. Even though she had barely any energy left, Naruko's spirit didn't waver. She may have been tired, but she refused to give up without trying her best. Her friends, watching from the stands, grew anxious. "Naruko," whispered Sakura, worry clear in her voice. She had seen her teammate fall before and could not bear the thought of losing her again. Even her rivals were impressed by her determination. Ino whispered something dismissive, but Sasuke quickly rebuked her. "You don't understand her," he said firmly. "She never gives up, even when things seem impossible." Naruko's sensei, Kakashi, smiled under his mask. He had known her for a long time, and he could see how much she had grown, not just in skill, but in heart. "She's stronger than people realize," he said softly. Just then, something magical began to happen. A soft, glowing light spread from her shoulder seal, brightening her entire figure. It wasn't frightening, it was beautiful. The colors danced around her, like ribbons of light, showing her inner energy flowing freely. Her tired eyes sparkled with determination, reflecting the courage she had built inside herself. Naruko stretched her arms wide, feeling the warmth and power fill her. "I won't give up," she declared, her voice full of confidence and joy. The light around her grew even brighter, and it seemed to cheer on everyone watching. Her friends gasped in awe, not at the power itself, but at the strength of her heart. Naruko's smile was radiant, full of hope and friendship. "No matter how tired I am, no matter how hard it gets, I will always try my best." And in that moment, the Kyūbi felt it too, the warmth, the trust, and the promise of friendship lighting up the darkness inside. "I'm free," Naruko shouted, her energy radiating like a golden sun, startling some of the younger Genin watching from above. What caught their attention most wasn't the roar itself, but the sheer excitement in her voice. It had a new depth, strong and confident, yet full of life. The Hokage and several senior ninja blinked in surprise. Naruko was normally energetic and mischievous, but this was something different. Her aura glowed with a mix of brilliant red and purple light, sparkling like swirling ribbons in the air. Could it be? They all watched, holding their breath, unsure what might happen next. Naruko took a deep breath, letting the swirling chakra settle around her. The light softened into a gentle glow, leaving her standing tall in the middle of the arena, her hands resting calmly on her hips. Her long hair caught the light, casting playful shadows across her determined face. Kabuto, observing from the edge of the arena, frowned in curiosity. Naruko's presence felt powerful, but not in a scary way. It was a kind of strength that made you feel small, yet inspired. "She's grown so much," he muttered, watching her move with effortless grace. Every step Naruko took seemed measured, confident, and full of purpose. Naruko glanced down at the headband lying on the ground, the symbol of her village. She smiled, bent down, and gently picked it up, tying it carefully around her forehead. "This isn't just a symbol of who I am," she said softly, "it's a promise to protect everyone I care about." With a playful grin, she extended her hands and spun around, summoning a dazzling swirl of wind that danced around her like sparkling ribbons. "Fu-Uten, gale of friendship," she called. The gentle, spiraling wind lifted colorful leaves and petals into the air, sending them twirling across the arena. The Genin above gasped in delight, clapping and cheering at the beautiful display. Kabuto shook his head, smiling despite himself. "There's no way to match her energy. She's not just strong, she's inspiring." Hayate stepped forward, raising his hand. "Winner! Uzumaki Naruko." The crowd erupted in applause, cheering not only for her victory but for the spirit she carried. Naruko bowed playfully, her smile radiant. "Thank you. But the real adventure is just beginning," she declared, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Not surprisingly, there were no cheers. The only ones willing to clap were still stunned by Naruko's sudden change. She had not yet fully shaken off the strange energy she had absorbed during training, and Kabuto approached her with a calm, almost eerie smile. He extended his hand in an attempt at friendship, but Naruko felt something off about him. "Oh no," she whispered to herself, frowning. Looking up, she saw straight through the fake grin on Kabuto's face. She forced a small smile in return, one meant to reassure her old classmates, but the experienced jounin around her could sense that something deeper was stirring inside. Before she could react further, Kabuto stepped closer. Naruko's pulse quickened, not with anger, but with a strange mix of fear and determination. Her friend stepped in instinctively, ready to restrain her if needed. Guy gently placed an arm around her shoulder, Kurenai crouched calmly in front of her, Asuma held her wrist lightly, and Kakashi rested a steady hand on her raised fist. Naruko blinked at them, a mix of frustration and confusion on her face. Why? Why does it feel like I can't control this? She whispered, her voice trembling. The strange energy within her seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat, a power she had never felt before. Naruko, Kakashi said softly, his single visible eye filled with concern, you don't have to do this. You can control it, let it guide you, not take over. She looked at him, the tension in her shoulders loosening slightly. For a moment, the menacing energy that had made her feel almost unrecognizable began to fade. She felt her heart settle, and the wild surge of power ebbed back into a calm, steady warmth. The crowd of young ninja watched in awe as Naruko closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, the cerulean sparkle that had always marked her spirit returned. She smiled warmly at her friends and even at Kabuto, though cautiously. I'm okay now, she said, voice steady. I won't let this energy control me. I'm me. Naruko Uzumaki. Sakura, standing nearby, wiped tears from her cheeks, relief flooding her expression. She had been so afraid that her teammate had been lost to something dark. Now, seeing Naruko in control, she couldn't help but feel proud. Even Anko, who had been watching from the sidelines, muttered in disbelief, She did it. She controlled it. With nothing but her own will. Naruko's friends gathered around her, each of them feeling the warmth of her determination. It wasn't about power, or defeating anyone, it was about self-control, courage, and trusting oneself. And Naruko had done it, proving that even the most overwhelming challenges could be faced with heart, friendship, and perseverance. Her bright orange jacket flapped behind her as she slowly settled onto the soft grass, her golden hair spilling around her shoulders and framing her determined face. Everyone around the training field watched in tense silence as Naruko, the spirited Uzumaki girl, lowered herself to her knees, catching her breath after an exhausting exercise. Even her closest friends, like Uchiha Sasuke, paused, impressed by her determination and energy. Come on, let's get some water for her, called out Asuma, rushing to help. Kakashi quietly approached, his white hair catching the sunlight, and crouched beside her. Naruko looked up at him with her big, hopeful eyes, still flushed from exertion. She had always thrown herself into every challenge, never backing down, and her friends had learned long ago that her heart and courage were unmatched. You've been pushing yourself too hard again, Kakashi said softly, a hint of worry in his voice. You need to rest sometimes, Naruko. Naruko smiled weakly but shook her head. I want to get stronger, sensei. I don't want anyone to think I can't keep up. Kakashi studied her carefully, seeing the spark of determination that had always defined her. I know you don't, but strength isn't just about energy or speed. It's also about patience and thinking ahead. Just then, she noticed her friend Sakura sitting quietly nearby, her head resting on her folded arms. Sakura had stayed close for the past 2 days, making sure Naruko was all right after her last big training match. Naruko's heart warmed at the sight. She hasn't eaten much, just wanted to be near you, Kakashi explained gently. Sakura just cares a lot about you. Naruko's face softened as she looked at her friend. Sakura. You're amazing. Thank you for staying. Kakashi nodded, his expression serious but calm. In a month, the next part of the Chunin exams will start. The doctors expected you to need weeks of recovery, but your energy and chakra have bounced back faster than anyone imagined. That's impressive. Naruko felt a blush rise in her cheeks. Yeah. I guess I just wanted to keep going, no matter what. Kakashi reached the door, placing a hand on the handle. Naruko. Is there anything you want to tell me? Anything at all? Naruko tilted her head, quirking an eyebrow playfully. Sensei. You already know me. There's nothing hidden here. Kakashi let out a quiet sigh, a mixture of relief and concern, before smiling beneath his mask. You're something else, Naruko. Always the same, yet always changing in your own way. Outside, Guy, Asuma, and Kurenai watched, laughing and shaking their heads. She hasn't changed at all, Guy exclaimed. Still full of energy and unstoppable. But Kakashi knew better. There was a quiet growth in Naruko, something subtle but meaningful. She was still the energetic, cheerful girl they all loved, but she was learning patience, empathy, and the kind of courage that didn't always need to be loud or fast. It was the courage of the heart, and it was just beginning to shine. Flashback. What was that just now? Questioned the worried Hatake, glancing at his young student lying in the Konoha hospital garden. The 4 jounin and 2 special jounin had just finished observing the preliminaries, and they were still buzzing about what they had seen. Naruko, the spirited young ninja, had surprised everyone by showing a special power she had been secretly learning. Anko had mentioned it on the way back to the Hokage's office. Naruko seemed to be able to control her inner energy in a way even Anko herself had struggled with. That revelation left everyone both shocked and impressed. The Hokage, sitting quietly, smiled thoughtfully as he prepared to share something important. He pressed his palm against a section of the office wall. Slowly, a square-shaped seal glowed and a hidden panel slid open, revealing a stack of old scrolls and tapes. Pulling one from the bottom, he dusted it off carefully. Holding it up, he said, "What I hold here tells a story from Naruko's early days in the village, one many of you have never seen." The jounin leaned closer, curiosity written on their faces. From the time she was very young, Naruko faced challenges that tested her courage and heart, the Hokage began. But through it all, she showed resilience and kindness, even when others doubted her. The old tape began to play on a small television. The screen showed rooftops gliding past in the wind, and then there she was, a little Naruko, skipping happily after leaving her favorite ramen shop. She waved to a stray cat, her laughter echoing through the streets. Off in the distance, a group of villagers looked a little confused and unsure about Naruko's mischievous antics. They had once thought her unusual ways were troublesome, but Naruko was clever and full of heart. Instead of causing harm, she found clever ways to play harmless tricks, like guiding lost puppies home or helping the elderly carry heavy baskets. As the tape continued, it showed Naruko navigating a tricky alley with a careful balance of bravery and wit. Even at 5 years old, she had a spark that couldn't be dimmed. She wasn't afraid to stand up for herself, using her cleverness and positivity to face challenges. Her bright smile seemed to shine even through the trickiest situations. The jounin watched, captivated by the little girl's determination and charm. Even Hatake, who had worried moments before, found himself smiling. "She really does have a special kind of strength," he whispered. The Hokage nodded. Naruko has always been capable of amazing things, not because she is the strongest in battle, but because her heart is strong. That is what will guide her through the challenges ahead. The room fell silent for a moment, everyone reflecting on the young girl's courage, her cleverness, and the kindness she showed even when no one else believed in her. Naruko wasn't just a student, she was a shining example of hope, cleverness, and the power of a kind heart. Naruko was a spirited young ninja with bright blonde hair tied into playful pigtails. Even though many villagers didn't understand her, she carried herself with an unshakable optimism. Some said she was a troublemaker, others called her stubborn, but everyone agreed on one thing: Naruko had a heart that could not be broken. One day, during a special training exercise organized by the Hokage, Naruko found herself facing an unusual challenge. The task was designed not to harm anyone but to test creativity, speed, and teamwork. Naruko's teammates, the elite jounin of the village, watched with careful eyes as she approached a complex obstacle course filled with moving platforms, spinning poles, and puzzle gates. At first, the obstacles seemed impossible. Platforms wobbled, doors slid back and forth, and puzzles appeared to change their patterns every time she blinked. Naruko stumbled and fell a few times, scraping her knees and getting covered in dust. Her teammates exchanged worried glances, unsure if she could finish. But Naruko only grinned, wiped her hands on her pants, and said, "I'll figure it out." Using her cleverness and determination, Naruko began to notice patterns in the course. She hopped from platform to platform, twirled around spinning poles, and solved puzzle gates with her own unique style. Every time she succeeded, the other ninja gasped in admiration. Not because she was perfect, far from it, but because she never gave up, no matter how tricky the challenge became. By the end of the exercise, Naruko had completed the course faster than anyone expected. She didn't just finish it, she did so with a creativity and courage that inspired even the most seasoned ninja. The Hokage smiled proudly and clapped, saying, "Naruko, you've proven that perseverance and heart matter more than raw strength." Afterward, Naruko sat on a grassy hill outside the training grounds, watching the sunset. Her friends came to sit beside her, and for the first time, they asked, "Naruko, how do you stay so positive, even when things get hard?" She laughed softly and replied, "Because I believe in myself. And even if I fall, I can always get back up. That's how I'll become someone who can protect and help everyone." From that day on, Naruko became known not just as the energetic girl with a loud laugh, but as the ninja whose courage and creativity could light up any dark path. She never let fear stop her, and she inspired others to face challenges with the same joyful determination. Naruko's journey had just begun, and everyone in the village could already see that her story would be one of courage, friendship, and endless adventures. Kakashi sat quietly, lost in thought. Questions kept circling his mind like leaves in a gentle wind. Had Naruko truly changed? Or was she simply discovering new parts of herself? Was a shift in personality something to fear, or something to understand? He did not yet know the answers, but one thing was certain. If it involved his student, he would be patient, thoughtful, and protective. No matter how complicated things became, he would be there for her. Naruko rested peacefully on her bed, staring up at the ceiling as soft moonlight filtered into the room. The day had been long, filled with lessons, conversations, and quiet moments of reflection. Sakura had already left once visiting hours ended, and the room felt calm and still. Naruko closed her eyes, hoping for rest, feeling like she needed to sort through her thoughts somewhere deeper than words. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself standing in a long, narrow corridor. The air felt gentle, almost dreamlike. Ahead were 3 paths. One glowed faintly with warm light, while the other 2 were shaded in calm darkness. After a moment of thought, Naruko chose the darker path, curious rather than afraid. At the end of the corridor stood the outline of another girl, about Naruko's age. Her upper half was softly shadowed, but her posture was calm, not threatening. "What was that about?" the girl asked, her voice serious but not unkind. "We had an agreement." Naruko remained relaxed, her expression thoughtful. "I know," she said gently. "But the timing matters. I promise I'll listen, and I'll do what's right, just not yet. You need to trust me for now." The shadowed girl crossed her arms and sighed. "Fine," she replied. "I'll wait." Naruko smiled, relieved. "Thank you. We'll figure things out together." As the dream began to fade, Naruko felt herself drifting away from the corridor. Behind her, the other girl stepped into the light. She looked very similar, bright hair, familiar markings on her cheeks, but her eyes held curiosity instead of conflict. "Someday," the girl said quietly, "I won't be hidden anymore. Not to cause trouble, but to help you become whole." The corridor faded, leaving behind a sense of understanding and hope. Naruko slept on, breathing evenly, unaware that her journey of self-discovery had already begun, not as a battle, but as a path toward growth, balance, and kindness. Dear YouTube family, this is all for now, but our journey doesn't end here. Your support, comments, and engagement inspire me to create even more content that sparks imagination, excitement, and connection. By liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel, you become part of a growing community that celebrates creativity and passion. Together, we can explore new stories, dive into endless adventures, and continue building a space where anime dreams come to life. Thank you for being here, for your time, and for believing in this journey. Your presence makes all the difference. Warm regards. Anime Dreams.